The following program is made possible with the support of Papa John's Pizza, Sam's Club, and PortCityDaily.com.
High school sports fans, welcome back to the 17th season of Sports Roundtable here on New Hanover County Schools TV. I'm Joe Katz from PortCityDaily.com as we take a weekly look at high school football across New Hanover County. Heading down the stretch of the non-conference schedule was a tough week for some of our programs in the county, but we'll kick off tonight's show with one of the lone bright spots from this past week. It was week 5 of the high school football season, I believe, and the Laney Bucks improved to 3-2 with back-to-back wins following a 31-7 victory at home over East Bladen. Sophomore quarterback Sherrod Sidbury really starting to get the feel of the new offensive scheme. He had 3 total touchdowns in the win as Laney has now won 2 straight, heading into a favorable conference schedule with games against South Brunswick and Topsail on the horizon as they open league play. And that's where we'll start tonight with the head coach of the Laney Buccaneers, Ashad Yeoman. And Coach Yeoman, we sat here last week and he told me that we had the best overall performance as far as a group, offense, defense, special teams in the win over Northern Nash. Well, you follow up that performance with another great overall effort in the 31-7 victory over East Bladen.
Yeah, it did. It went really well, you know, offensively, defensively, and special teams-wise. Those guys did a great job overall. East Bladen, you know, even though the score said 31-7, they actually did a really good job. We just kind of came up with the plays when we needed to, but it was a great game overall.
Offensively, one of the things that you did early in this season was run the ball a lot. You must have saw something on film where you were able to open up some things downfield because, you know, you gave the ball in Sherrod Sidbury's hands and you let him chuck it around the field a little bit more this week.
Yeah, well, you know, there's a lot of things that we're trying to work on, trying to identify what we're good at and what we like, and he did a good job executing, and the receivers did a good job of catching the ball. So.
Well, let's take a look at some of the highlights. Of course, Sherrod Sidbury with 3 touchdowns, some big plays on the defensive end as well.
Yep, this is the first drive of the game, and as you can see, he's got a cannon. He's got to work on his mechanics a little bit, but you know, he can sling that rock, and he threw it to Jason Billingsley, another sophomore. You know, hopefully they'll be teaming up quite a bit. And that's a big play right there by Trevor Pender, one of my senior linebackers. He got to start this week. You know, I had a guy go down, and he stepped up big for him, and that was a 4th down play. Like I said, those guys didn't do much of punting, watching them on film. And even last year when we played them, they didn't punt much either. And that was a big 3rd down run by Sherrod Sidbury to keep the drive going. We stalled out a little bit at the end of it all. And, defense came up, and there's Tyler Moore with a big stop there. And then here came in Czak and my big boy, Deontay Hicks, man, one of my D-linemen checking into the ball. A lot of times you don't see those guys getting after it, but our D-line does a really good job of chasing the plays down. And there's, again, Tyler Moore coming up with a big stop for us and what we needed. This is going into the half, close to it anyway, and that's a big play there by Micah Harrison to come back and get that ball because it almost looked like that defensive back could have got it, but came back to it and got it and then punched it in with Sherrod Sidbury on the sneak. And then we went for the onside kick just to try and, you know, get the ball back or not kick to those deep guys because those guys are really athletic, the 2 twins that they have. And then we came up with a little trick play there. Coach Russ came over to Mike and said, let's try a little Eiffel Tower and see how that works out. And Al-Fahim just did a great job of high point and just finishing in the end zone. That was athletic of him to stay up. There's Lewis Powell, one of my defensive linemen. He did a great job getting in the hip of that lineman, and then next thing you know, he turns around and he's like, oh, wait, there's the ball carrier, and he comes up with a big stop there. And again, there's East Bladen driving, and Kamen Czak, my senior linebacker, just strips that ball right out of that kid's hands. They were going in on us, and you know, that was a great momentum stop and great step up by him. And again, there's Michael Harrison coming up with a big catch and play for us. Sherrod putting the mile on the money for him there. And then here's another one of our scores here, making it 21-7. Sidbury's got he's done a good job with the option, and you know we're still working on it, fine-tuning some things. He's bubbling it out a little bit. And here's some back-to-back plays here. Tyler Moore comes up with a big stop. He blitzes the A gap, gets in behind the guards, come up with another stop there. Then we go into the 4th quarter, and then here's my silent assassin, man. I mean, that kid didn't even have time to even drop back, and he's in his face, and I guess he's challenging Deontay Hicks. And here's the punt for that very next series, and he blocks it and comes up with a big stop for us. I think we stalled out a little bit here. Not the greatest execution, on the play action, but he does a good job of getting it out, and Billingsley with a nice little move there, putting us in position to at least get 3 points out of the deal. This is the first field goal we've gotten all season long. We've been trying, and again in the off-season, non-conference schedule, that's the way you want to work on those types of things to get it down, and he came up big with a big stop there, and there's my silent assassin again, came and sees that coming with a big stop. And this is the fourth quarter. I got my young guys in, and they ended up coming up with a big stop for us, and that was my sophomore coming up with the fumble, Jaquan Drury, and here he is on a big hit. Looking for some special things from him. He's done a great job in the weight room.
Hit squad alive on special teams, a couple of the big plays, second consecutive game with the blocked punt. You're able to get a couple turnovers on the defensive end, and then offensively, really clicking last week in the 31-7 win, led by your quarterback, Sherrod Sidbury, throwing the ball downfield. Talked to Amik Watkins leading up to that game, and he praised Sidbury a lot, having been just a sophomore now, and really getting a feel for this offense moving into the conference schedule.
Oh, absolutely. It feels good to have everything clicking on all cylinders, but it's back to the drawing board again, and we got to come back out again against a tough Topsail team. So we got to make sure we're doing what we need to Monday through Thursday.
Coach Ashad Yeoman looking to make it 3 in a row for the Bucks as they improve to 3-2, moving into games against Topsail and South Brunswick before the task of facing New Hanover and Hoggard back-to-back. So, Coach, good luck this week, and we'll talk to you next time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Lady Bucks are 3-2 overall, moving into a game against Topsail to start the conference schedule later on this week. We'll take our first break on tonight's show here, Sports Roundtable. I'm Joe Katz from PortCityDaily.com. We'll catch up with the head coach of the New Hanover Wildcats, Earl Smith, right after this break. High school football fans, welcome back to Sports Roundtable as we continue our conversation this evening with the football coaches from across New Hanover County. Appreciate Coach Yeoman stopping by from Laney this past segment as we head to the second quarter of tonight's edition of the show. Again, I'm Joe Katz from PortCityDaily.com. We'll talk with the head coach of the New Hanover Wildcats, Earl Smith. And Coach, happy to be playing at Legion Stadium this upcoming Friday after this grueling 3-game road trip following the 40-14 setback against Scotland County. Player to look out for, or player that stood out for the Wildcats most this past week, Lamont Howard, a wide receiver, 9 catches, 197 yards receiving, a couple of touchdowns for New Hanover. But Coach Smith, again, Havelock, Myrtle Beach, and Scotland County all in a rather daunting schedule heading into, finally a home game at Legion.
Yeah, we've grown a lot in these 3.5 weeks, and I'm glad to be at home. This game with Scotland going into the fourth quarter, we had an opportunity to cut it to 7. It was 27-14, and got down on the 20-yard line. Had a penalty that got us tried a field goal, missed that, but we had our opportunities, and I thought Blake Walston came in and did a great job getting the ball to Lamont.
Yeah, and Blake Walston, a young quarterback for you, so hopefully coming into his own along with Francis Meehan, splitting time, taking snaps for you this season. And let's take a look at some of these highlights from, the matchup in Laurinburg against a tough Scotland County team.
This is the first kickoff here. We really worked hard on our special teams over the last couple of weeks, especially for the open date. And here, Chris Taylor does an unbelievable job of getting down here, great pursuit by all the guys, and makes a solo tackle here and they start out on their own 12. So that started the game, kind of sent a message there. Did a great job all night of stopping Zamir White. Of course, he broke some long ones on us. Here's a quarterback, kept the read option, and great job of gang tackling there by the defense. Francis started the first series for us. Great throw here from him to Lamont, and just an unbelievable catch by Lamont, keeping his feet in bounds. And on this series, Francis did get injured and hurt his ankle. We've got it x-rayed. It's just a sprain, so he's going to be okay. I think this is when he was injured, but makes a nice throw here to tight end Jyree Taylor.
A couple of big athletic catches for these skill guys for you.
Yep. And Blake came into the game here after the injury, and like I said, he had a really good night. A little frustrated, he got a little frustrated at the end. Was trying to force ahead a pick 6, but again, this part of the game was doing really well. Here's a throw from him to Lamont. And yeah, it's great concentration, goes up, fights for it, comes down with it.
Catching that ball at its highest point.
Yep.
197 yards receiving.
We got an extra point here by Wesley Gaines. He's a soccer player where he's doing double duty, but gets that thing off, gets the extra point there.
And that guy coming off the edge, good concentration by Wesley.
Here's a great effort by junior linebacker Grant Daly on just hanging on, giving us time. The other guys get there on Zamir.
Really was hanging on.
Literally.
This is going up against a Scotland County team that put up a ton of points leading into this game. As you mentioned, Zamir White.
After playing, they're better than they were last year. They're total package. Here's another throw. Another great concentration, keeps his feet in bounds. Lamont, just a heck of a young man.
If you're the opposing team's coach, you got to be shaking your head right there, trying to figure out how he's coming down with these grabs.
Nice throw here to Wiz, and great second effort here, getting more yardage.
You know, teams are keying on Wiz Vaughn watching this film.
Yeah, he's special. Coming up next, we got a nice run here by Keegan Santos, close to a first down.
That's running up against, looks like a 5-man front.
Yeah. There's a nice tackle by Jahan Simmons, who had a heck of a night. He really came to light. I think the light came on for him. You know, he played offense last year. And here is a hit. If you can see it right there, he makes a tackle there on Zamir.
Yeah, it's got to take a couple of games, especially going up against some high-level teams, for a guy to transition from offense to defense, especially that outside linebacker position.
Here we get a sack by Jamias Williams, the quarterback. Field's breaking up there. You see it right here.
Yeah, good lane control by Jamias and Khalil Toney up front for you in the middle. So again, you've been tested through these last 3 weeks, and as you mentioned before we got to the footage and the highlights, that doing a lot of growing up in those games against 3 real powerhouse teams.
You know, our offensive line again stepped up. We didn't have any sacks, a couple hits as he threw the football, but did a great job, and especially consistently through the game. So we're getting better every week.
Moving into this week against Purnell Sweat, your final non-conference game, you're going to have a sophomore, Blake Walston, now taking the snaps with Francis Meehan out for the near future. What do you see in him that gives you confidence that we can get back in the win column Friday?
Well, I think that game gave him confidence, and we'll just get the reps in, and if we keep protecting like we is, he's got good vision, and he's tall, and he's got a gun on him, and he can let it rip. So. Again, keep spreading it around too, because I'm sure they're going to focus on Lamont.
Coach Earl Smith with the New Hanover Wildcats. Coach, good to be back home here, coming up on Friday night with a home game at Legion Stadium for the first home game since the season opener. Coach, thanks for stopping by. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, Joe.
All right, we're at the half here at Sports Roundtable as we continue our conversation this evening with the coaches from across New Hanover County. I'm Joe Katz from PortCityDaily.com, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Sports Roundtable here on New Hanover County Schools TV. I'm Joe Katz from PortCityDaily.com. You can catch all the local recaps and game highlights from across the Wilmington area when it comes to high school sports on our website for free online, PortCityDaily.com. Heading into the second half of tonight's show, we'll talk with Hoggard head coach Craig Underwood. The Vikings have been dealing with some injuries, and I know Coach does not like to make any excuses, but we've got a wideout, Colin Hare, a senior, who's been out for the last couple of weeks. A couple more guys go down this past week, along with Rashad Wallace, who has been nicked up for pretty much the entire season. With that said, we just caught up with Coach Earl Smith of New Hanover. They played a daunting non-conference schedule, but no slouches that Hoggard has faced either this season. They went up to Clinton this past week and faced the Dark Horses under their head coach Bob Lewis, longtime head coach, a legendary head coach from the state of North Carolina. And as we introduce Coach Craig Underwood, Coach, hitting a little bit of a slide here the last couple of weeks, but have played some pretty tough tough teams, and you got to think that, if we can get some guys back healthy maybe as we head into this conference slate, and we continue to do things, limit turnovers, a thing that plagued you early in that game against Clinton, that we could get this ship turned around.
That's no doubt about it. We, we always say, start of the non-conference schedule. I mean, that's kind of the first quarter of our season. Well, now we're going into that second quarter, and fresh start on the season. So, Clinton played extremely well, and we made multiple miscues that we had to pay for. And against a team like that, I mean, they're second in the state in 2A, and they're very explosive. And if you make mistakes, they're going to make you pay for it, and they did.
And the week before this, you play a Carolina Forest team from South Carolina who took Myrtle Beach down there, a perennial team to win a South Carolina state championship to the end last week. So, again, looking back at this non-conference schedule, some pretty tough games that you've gone up against.
Yeah, but I think it's gonna pay off for us, in preparation for conference. I mean, we have seen some great speed. We've seen good size. We've seen multiple schemes. So, I think all that's going to pay off for us as we prepare to hopefully make a run at conference here.
Let's take a look at some of these highlights from the matchup up in Clinton against the Dark Horses this past Friday.
Here you mentioned Rashad Wallace. Rashad and Tony Allen both, had good nights, especially in the first half, really putting a drive together here. You can see, Rashad's vision has just developed so much over the last couple of years. Very impressive. Good push up front there as well. We recognize those linemen. We get into heavy here, and Tony just pounds it on in there. Not disguising what we're doing. Here you go, and we're able to get it done. Again, you're seeing a full house backfield, double tight offense, pretty regularly split in here. But different front than what we're used to, even though South Brunswick does some of the same stuff. So, again, helping us prepare. This is a sophomore, Isaiah Kemp. He's really got a chance to be special. He's got a ways to go, but has tremendous athletic ability. Is physical, does all those things. So the plan all night was to try and get them off schedule, and so they have to throw the ball. And when they did, we made them pay for it. Okay, but that was only a couple times they were able to run the ball with success. There you see Tony coming through again, physical run. Rashad here. All right, sorry, that's Josh. Josh Jones. Again, has become each week a bigger part of our run game. That wasn't so much planned initially, but he moves pretty well if you watch. So a little missed tackle there from Isaiah. You saw the speed though, but the outside linebackers rallying. We're really trying to crowd the box here. It's Mackenzie Frazier. He played a multiple role for us this week. Actually worked at linebacker a little bit, but you mentioned injuries. He got dinged up, and that was a big one for us. Obviously a large run force for us there. Nice little screen pass from Josh there, good execution. This is Mackenzie Frazier again coming through on a field goal block. We had some big plays in there. Again, it's that consistency of defensively getting off the field. Here we see Josh dropping back. Good coverage. I tell you, I was very impressed with Clinton's secondary. Got to really compliment most of those guys are playing both ways, and they were able to play man coverage most of the night. So a little botched field goal here. You see the defense rally. All right, good job keeping them out. Actually forced a fumble there, so well done. Coming back down, just trying to make a push late. We got in a hole. We did have a couple turnovers, got in a hole. Just trying to come back. This is Trey Hauser. Trey continues to become a bigger part of our passing game. Great speed. Really thinking a lot of it. Just his efforts lately have been doing well. Here's Cullum Crowley. Filling the gap out, good leverage there. Something we're continuing to just got to grow and work on. There's Cullum again.
Yeah, two guys on the defensive end at that front, Mackenzie Frazier and Cullum Crowley. They're going to really have to step up for you with maybe a couple guys down on that front side of the defensive end.
Yeah, well, Mackenzie's one of them that is down actually. So Mackenzie Frazier and Landon Romano have both been out, and we'll see how things go this week, but a little short-handed on the deep front, so got to get healthy.
Looked good to see, though, Rashad Wallace back suited up, and a couple of the big runs for you. Talked about his vision and what he can bring to the field, mixed in with Tony Allen, and then your quarterback, Josh Jones. Offensively, I think you've been doing some good things that you can take from you. It's just really stopping those big plays on the defensive side and then limiting turnovers.
That's it. Get off the field, win third down. That was a big emphasis this past week, and we've got to continue to improve there is, tackling and winning third down. And then win the turnover battle. Don't lose it. A couple interceptions Friday night, really cost us.
You'll be going down to South Brunswick, I believe, to start
Yes.
this schedule. So that's maybe a good thing that you played Clinton last week, seeing a similar type thing on offense as you try to get back in the win column here to start league play. Coach Craig Underwood, thanks for stopping by, and we'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good. Thank you.
That's Hoggard football head coach in his second year, Craig Underwood, as the Vikings head down to South Brunswick to begin conference play on Friday night. We'll take a quick break here on Sports Roundtable on Joe Katz from PortCityDaily.com. Coach Jeff Turner coming up next here on Sports Roundtable. Rounding out our local show here on Sports Roundtable this evening, we'll talk with the head coach of the Ashley Screaming Eagles, Jeff Turner. In just a moment, I'm Joe Katz from PortCityDaily.com. Don't forget, get your latest stats, highlights, and analysis each and every week from high school sports across the Wilmington area online for free at PortCityDaily.com. Ashley Screaming Eagles went on the road for the first time this season here in 2016. After starting the year 2-0, they went up against a quality Westover side, and it was Westover over Ashley by a score of 38-12. And a big test for the Screaming Eagles after opening the year with a couple of wins, got maybe knocked back down to reality. It was Freddie Thames who had a 20-yard touchdown, along with Bradley Plyler, who also scored the other touchdown for Ashley in the setback. Head coach of the Screaming Eagles, Jeff Turner, here with us on Sports Roundtable as we wrap up the show. And Coach, tough week for you. You come up, get 2 wins at home, but then you got to go up on the road in Fayetteville against a tough Westover squad.
Yeah, I mean, we sort of warned the kids and talked to them about what we were going into, and as much as we preached it, it was highly disappointing to me. I was very disappointed in how we handled it, and a lot of the things that, talked to them about the week before and warned them against happened. And so, can't really sugarcoat it all that much. We're not that bad and they're not that good, so to speak, and we didn't do our job, and they did. Give them credit. But I was very disappointed, and we'll see how we rebound on the flip side on coming in this week and practicing.
Well, you grab 2 wins, and maybe you think, or maybe the players start to think maybe we're a little bit better than we thought we were, or maybe we can just roll into this road game and continue to do what we've been doing and pick up a win. But obviously that wasn't the case. So maybe this is a good time to have something like this happen, where you kind of get knocked down back a couple steps and say, all right, well, we really do need to put that extra effort in practice and secure things up come game night.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that this is early enough where you can learn from it and you can understand it. And, from the weekend and talking to the kids, some of the kids call me. I feel like, our bulk kids get it and understand that, what it takes. And it can humble you real quick in football. So we're hoping that this will hopefully wake them up and teach them and understand that they need to be more focused and ready to go.
Before we get to some of the highlights from the game at Westover, unfortunately, one of your guys went down, a guy that we talked about a lot here on this show and pretty much every week leading up to tonight. Bradley Plyler, your star running back. You can't say much more about him. He joined the show last week. He's down with an injury that could really cut his senior season short. We were expecting some big things from him this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's just something in high school football that's always been around. You hate it because a kid works very hard and senior season and it could be just a clean cut or, just something doing and could be out. We don't know. He's at the doctor's today. So we're not really sure, but he's out until we find out any further.
Well, having a chance to catch up with him a couple times this season, I wish Bradley well, and hopefully he's in a good state of mind. I know he's such a good kid and a hard-nosed runner, so you're going to miss him no matter what.
Oh, yeah, there's no question.
All right, well, let's get some of the highlights from the matchup.
There's not many highlights, but we'll go ahead and peek at them.
Well, I saw a turnover in there and a touchdown by Freddie Thames. So
nowhere near enough, though. I really, and again, I don't want to, I can sugarcoat it all we want, but it was a pathetic, not a good showing for the Eagles. Very disappointing. Nothing that we should be one little ounce happy about. I was very disappointed in this, and I think we really embarrassed ourselves in what we do and what we've worked to do. So again, we go back to hopefully learning on it and getting better from this. And that was a talented team. It's probably the best, most speed we'll see all year and strength with their kids. But again, we didn't do our job.
There's Jacob Reed avoiding a sack there in the pocket. Deep play down the field to Plowman.
Yeah, that was too bad. He gets it and he goes. He's a fast, tough kid, and we're going to miss him so much. And we'll see. Maybe we'll get lucky, and maybe the doctor will give him some good news. And we'll just wait and see. But
well, with that said, you're going to ask some other players that are really have to step up for you right now. Jacob Reed, a quarterback, he's going to you're going to rely on him a lot more. You're going to rely on some guys like Freddie Thames a lot more on the offensive end in Plyler's absence.
Well, you know what? And that's what you do. You have to challenge kids, and you have to see. And this is really the great thing about football, because you really find out what kind of character you have, and that's sort of what we teach. And I'm interested to see what kind of character our kids have now. Are you going to respond, or you're going to just fold in? Because it's easy to feel good when things are going good. Now you get a little bump in the road. Let's see what happens.
Well, talk about a challenge. You're going to face a tough challenge this upcoming week as you open Mid-Eastern Conference play against the West Brunswick Trojans. And the Trojans have a great start to the season. They're off to a 3-1 start, and they are right where they want to be moving into league play.
Yeah, I mean, they're a really talented team. Watching them on film all across the board, not just the running back, but they're sound offensively and defensively and special teams. And so that's going to be a great challenge for us. And, we just have to step up and see what we're made of this week and get into it Friday night.
Well, the Ashley football team has their backs against the wall, I guess, for the first time all season. They're at 2-1 overall, moving into conference play. Coach Jeff Turner, thanks for stopping by. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you.
All right, Ashley Screaming Eagles at 2-1. They play at home against the West Brunswick Trojans coming up on Friday night. That'll do it for our latest edition of Sports Roundtable here on New Hanover County Schools TV. I'm Joe Katz from PortCityDaily.com. Until next time.